Hey, my brother, in this video, I'm going to talk about the number one mistake that most husbands make. And in fact, I say most husbands because almost every man that I have met outside of the Broken to Badass program makes these mistakes. And it's so prevalent that women have become very tolerant to this, and they don't know that there's anything different. And guys are always looking at their wives and saying, I don't understand why there's disconnection here. I don't understand why we can't come together. I don't understand why we've turned into the sixless marriage after the second kid that was born, or after we finally got married. And he feels like there's this huge bait and switch in the relationship, and he feels that, right? He feels this lack of connection. He feels this lack of sexual intimacy, and he's like, this wasn't like this before. What happened? Where's this bait and switch? And that's what he feels like. He feels like it's a bait and switch. And this is the number one problem that is causing that bait and switch. You're gonna have to watch this end of this video because when I get to all of them, it's gonna all make sense and it's gonna come together. My name is Ed Baxter and I help guys in betrayal situations. I've coached thousands of men. Tens of thousands of men have come through my doors in one form or another. I've had over 3,000 guys come through the Betrayed to Badass program. And that's what we do. We'll get you to that place where you make the right decision for you and your children. The number one mistake is lack of leadership in his relationship. In fact, he doesn't keep his finger on the pulse of how she's doing emotionally. He doesn't keep a finger on the pulse of how the house is running. He doesn't keep a finger on the pulse of like what's going on with the kids. And he abdicates that responsibility all on his wife. Now, there's not necessarily anything wrong with this, but over time, this lends into this situation of her feeling neglected. Or he's so up her ass and he's so involved with what's going on, he's just another one of the kids. And in both of these situations, the woman's dealing with two things. She always feels like she's on overdrive and she's completely emotionally overwhelmed. Why? Because there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of things up in the air when it comes to running a family and having the kids and running the household. And he'll either be in this place of, just tell me what to do, just tell me what to do, just tell me what to do. And she's like, I need somebody to help actually wrangle this entire experience and help me create a structure on how we should operate. Or he says, oh, she's got it, and he just goes off to work and he just works on his business. Either way, she doesn't feel heard or understood because he's not really in the mix with her. And now you might say, he can't always be in the mix with her. She needs to do some things on her own. He can't control everything. She's not another child too, and I agree with you. But he doesn't have to do that. He just has to create the context and container for how this relationship and how this family needs to run. And whenever she's in this place of overdrive and overwhelm, she's not going to be open for emotional connection. Guys will complain about this all the time. My wife's always in the alpha male mode. She's always in her masculine. And it's like, yeah, because she's dealing with overdrive and overwhelm. That's how you get shit done. Is you get into your masculine, you go do things. You put your feelings aside and you make shit happen. And when you come into the mix or you come home and you see all this stuff going on and then you just try to jump in all at the last second, she snaps your head off because she's like, hey, asshole, you don't even know what's going on here. Do you want to come in here and start telling me what to do? Yeah, it makes sense. You do the same thing at work. Or you just come in and you just neglect everything. You turn the TV on, watch sports, ignore the kids, and she's sitting there like, do I even exist as a wife here? Like, what's the whole point of this? I thought we were supposed to come together with this connection of the family. And most guys do this. They always are just focusing on providing. They avoid vulnerability. They avoid really attaching to their own emotions, really seeing what's going on. Or if they do, they can't control them and they can't stay grounded in the fact that they're having these emotions and these experiences. And he just gets comfortable. In other words, he relies on the commitment of the relationship and he says, well, you know, we're having a rough patch, but we'll get through it because we're married and we're here to stick together forever. And women don't look at it that way. Women look at it a lot more pragmatically. She's like, well, this isn't working now, and because it's not working now, I don't see it working in the future. Whereas guys will look at it and say, you know what, we're married, we decided to be together as a couple, I've done a lot of good things, it hasn't always been this way, and he'll use his past to justify what's going on in the future, thinking that the things that he did before give him credit. And in her mind, it doesn't work. It's always like, where are we at now and where are we going? So how do we fix this? The first is start being more present with the family. In other words, if you're this guy who's not been attentive to the family, you've just been off building your business, or if you've been this guy who abdicates responsibility to his wife and he's just kind of another one of the kids, start being present. Like, really watch the dynamic of what's going on here and your role in it. And you're going to start finding that if you're one that's not making the decisions, you're probably going to have to start making some decisions, taking some control, and start taking some ownership of how this family is being run. And if you're also the guy who's just been gone all the time, you're going to have to start being more present and start seeing what's happening around the house and be more involved. This alone is going to show her that, hey, you actually care. Now, if you're this guy who advocates responsibility because he's a nice guy, he's a people pleaser, he's afraid of conflict, then you're going to have to start getting clear on what it is you want. Like, what kind of dynamic do you want in your household? And this goes for the other guy too, who's just absent. And so if you're not really clear on like the kind of dynamic you want in your relationship, then you have nothing to go towards. You have nothing to create. And you're the leader of the relationship by default. Even if you abdicate the role of leadership, she's going to look at you as a leader and say, well, he's abdicating this, that means I have to do it. So the first step is being present. Be present with her. Watch her. See what she's doing. Be very mindful of how she's acting. Be very mindful of the conversations that you're having. Make eye contact. Be very present. Don't be thinking about other things. Put your phone down and actually listen to the person in front of you. If you're this guy who hasn't been very connected to his wife, this is going to do wonders. And if you're this other guy who is just advocating responsibility all the time, you're going to see, and it's going to highlight quite drastically how she doesn't have a lot of respect for you, and you're going to start seeing this internal turmoil that's going on within you and this fear of conflict. And you're going to notice exactly what needs to shift. In either of these places, you're going to have to start taking the initiative. So one is, hey, I'm present with you and I can see you and I'm starting to notice what's happening. Now the second step is we got to take action. We're going to make some stuff happen. So if you've been absent in the household, you're going to start taking on some things and say, okay, I'm part of what's happening here. I'm in the mix of how this happens. And you know this. If you have employees, you have these one top performing employee that just knows what the fuck needs to happen. That needs to become you in your own home. And you already know how to do this. If you're the guy who's been abdicating and you're afraid of conflict and everything, you're going to have to start taking initiative and saying, hey, this is what I want, this is how I want to operate, and this is what I want to do moving forward. And when you start doing this, it's going to create some collisions. At first, she's going to say, well, you're not here, so what do you know about anything? And this is the place where you'll lead with vulnerability. Or she'll say, you know what, I'm not listening to you, like your opinion doesn't matter, and you're going to have to start leading with vulnerability. Like, no, this is what I want. This is what I want, and this matters to me deeply. And in either one of these, you're going to get rejected. Why? Because, well, you've gotten yourself in this situation. She's not going to just hand you the crown willingly. You're going to have to earn that shit back. And it's going to cause some collisions. In the one hand, the collision that you need to have is vulnerability. And on the other hand, the collision that you need to have is standing up for what you truly desire and what you want. And once you've done this, the fourth step is you have to start setting some boundaries. If you've been this guy who's been absent most of the time, you're going to have to start setting boundaries with yourself. Start setting boundaries with your business so that you can bring some balance back into the game of your family. Set boundaries with being distracted with your work. Set boundaries mainly with yourself. And also set boundaries with, hey, we need open and clear communication. If I'm going to be present with you, you also have to share with me. We need to have this dialogue going on. If you've been this guy who's been abdicating leadership, you've been this nice guy, this people-pleasing guy, then what you're going to have to do is start standing up for yourself. Start standing up for what you want and really stick to it. And don't let her manipulate you or guilt you or shame you into doing something else. You have to learn to be strong in yourself. And so, again, women are attracted to dominant behavior. And if you are the submissive person in life and you're submissive in your relationship because you're playing this game of equality, then what's going to end up happening is that she's going to take over you. And you're going to say, well, it's supposed to be equal. She's taking too much. It's like, well, you let her do it. Why are you letting somebody take from you? You need to increase your dominance in your life. Don't let people take from you. Don't let people overrun you. Don't let people dictate how you're going to live your life in your home especially, or with your children, or with your boss, or anybody else. Most guys don't even know that they're doing this game of attention to the family. They're either absent or they've abdicated the responsibility. And so for you, now that you see this, you can start right now looking at some things that need to shift for you. Like the biggest mindset shift you need to have is, I need to be the top performer in my family like I am in my business, or I need to start stepping up instead of abdicating what's going on. And think about your family as a thing that you're going to get energy from, not something that's on autopilot. And it's something that can give you energy because you are in control of it, not something that you're constantly leeching off of and extracting because you need validation and approval. So watching this video probably highlighted a few things for you. And so if you're ready to take the next steps, you should check out the Broken to Badass program. It is a link in the description below. We'll show you exactly how to do this, scripts, navigating your relationship, how to deal with it if your wife's cheating on you, how to deal with it if you're not even speaking with each other and are fighting terms. We can turn this around really quick. In fact, most of the guys have emotional relief within a week or so. If you want to reclaim the power in your relationship, you want to become the guy that she absolutely fucking adores and she's devoted to you, desires you, and appreciates the hell out of you on a daily basis, click the link below and join Broken to Badass. And if you want another guy to see this video, hit the like button. That way the algorithm will show it to him. And if you want to see more like this, hit subscribe.